Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. Welcome to Growers Daily, your daily dose of ecological farming insight. It is Thursday, July 9th, 2026, and today we will talk blackstrap molasses in the garden, what to look for in a high tunnel, and we'll do a little Florida weave demo out in the field. So let's do it. But I'll wait till the sun comes up, but then I'll do it, and then you'll see it. It'll be great. All right, I hope everyone is having a great Thursday and a great week so far. We got a little rain yesterday, which is more or less always acceptable in July. I'll take it. Although I saw earlier that we have yet another flood watch coming in this week. We get one every week, apparently. But anyway, I'm sure we'll have our summer dry spell. Happy to wait on it, though. It can wait as long as it wants. I hope everyone enjoyed the live yesterday. Those are always fun to do. I love interacting in real time with you all, and that's something I'd like to do more of. But with the current show design, the live shows are the easiest ways to do that, at least like once a month. But like I said yesterday, what did I do? I cultivated the rice and some of the squash before the live started, and then knocked out some potato harvesting afterward, and then a bunch of mowing followed by a meeting with my insurance person, because sometimes that's farming. But July is busy. That's just the way it is. It's hard to ever feel like even vaguely caught up. However, August is when the light really starts to noticeably dive. So enjoy it while it lasts, because before you know it, you'll be missing the madness, or you will have realized like, oh, I should have planted a little bit more in July. Or you could just be enjoying the rest, or both. No harm in doing both. Anyway, let us know, listeners and viewers, what you all are up to this month. Upload a 20-second farm video clip to Dropbox or Drive and share that with Farmer Mike at no-tillgrowers.com. Always very fun to see what you all are up to. All right, so we're going to do our normal Patreon bag today and catch up on questions over there. One of them we're even going to do from the field. As always, please feel encouraged to add your 2 cents in the comments section as to how you might answer these questions, because I definitely do not have a monopoly on all the good ideas or advice. So yeah, chime in with your thoughts. Today's first Patreon question of the day comes to us from Karen Mason, who asks, quote, looking to purchase a high tunnel. I am a single farmer in my 50s. I am wondering what features to look for. I expect some maintenance, but I don't want to consistently be trying to fix something and want to add to my life the positives of having a tunnel and not more hassle. Gothic style, extra embracing for northern winters, but what else? Hope to order very soon. So alarm bell. End quote. All right, so good questions here, Karen. I answered this a little bit when it came in, but let's kind of break down what to think about when thinking about a tunnel. Now, a lot of this will depend on your budget, but there are some main areas to consider. First is ventilation. Ventilation can be as cheap as having a smaller tunnel with some high hip boards and decently sized doors that allow for good airflow, or it can be more middle of the road passive ventilation like our ridge vent, which I love, or automatic vents on the end walls above the doors. Then, of course, you can get into like fans and electric vents that will require more money, more planning, but can obviously make a huge difference in airflow, thus the prevention of disease. In terms of maintenance, though, the doors and the hip boards and maybe even the ridge vent are the lowest, maintenance requirements. The fans obviously have the highest risk or level of maintenance, though in general it shouldn't be too much, at least not in the first like 5 or 10 years. Wind is the next big thing for me. Just big yes to all the bracing. That will help with wind, but also, as you kind of alluded to there, snow loads, so that you're not having to stress quite so much in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the night, when it is snowing heavily. A Gothic tunnel is nice if it's well braced, especially for those snow loads. If not well braced, they can be more vulnerable to wind, though, especially if they're facing wherever the predominant winds come from. So just yes to all of the bracing. The trusses will also come in handy for trellising. So again, yes to all the bracing. Double poly can help with bracing as well, and stability, as well as insulation, but it does require a blower to work, thus electricity, and thus potentially maintenance. Anything mechanical runs that risk. In that same area is heating, but heating is not a requirement. We do not heat our tunnel. You can extend your season a month or more in either direction by just having an unheated tunnel. The soil warms up and helps keep it warm overnight. And with some frost protection, row cover, you can grow certain crops all winter in many, if not most climates. However, if you want heat, you should decide that before building your tunnel so that you can get that all set up and ready to use. We do not heat our tunnels. Like I said, you have to be very, very good and ambitious grower to make that expense make sense, because even for early tomatoes, the propane costs are hardly going to math out very well. Because it's so expensive, most people who do heat just do it to keep the tunnel above freezing in the winter, not to heat up like to tomato production in the middle of January or anything like that. You would never be able to recoup those expenses unless you're charging like $30 a tomato. I mean, maybe 30 is an exaggeration, but you get the idea. Do make sure to focus some money and time and planning on the doors and end walls. That's always very helpful. They need to be able to fit your largest piece of equipment. You need to be able to get whatever you want to get in there. I like the sliding doors, but there are all sorts of different designs out there that work. We just did that segment about keeping rhizomatous grasses out. That's worth thinking about. You know, how you're going to do that. Some sort of barrier on the sides. That can be something hardcore like concrete or simple like landscape fabric, but think it through before building. That will definitely help with your maintenance stuff. I think that's all I got for the moment, but what did I miss? Dear listeners and viewers, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break and then lift our soils up by the Blackstrap Molasses. Or maybe not. That's after the break. BRB.
Want to harvest seeds adapted to your farm, but you're thinking, look, I have a market farm to run. I'm way too busy weeding and picking tomatoes. I'm Dan Brieswa, and I'm here to tell you that you can grow seed on your farm without losing your mind. On the Seed Farmer podcast, and in my book, The Seed Farmer, I share exactly how busy growers make seed crops work alongside a bustling farm business. Find The Seed Farmer wherever you get your books and podcasts. Go grow some seeds.
All right, a quick and loving reminder that if you, the listener or viewer, are enjoying this podcast, getting even a small amount of value from it, consider supporting our work over at patreon.com/no-till growers. I will try to get to questions from everywhere that questions come in, but I will always get to your Patreon questions. Now, today's second Patreon question comes to us from Patreon member Jordan Swan, who writes, quote, "Hi, Jesse, love what you do. New nematode and small-time farmer here in Zone 12B, Big Island, Hawaii. I recently heard of the benefits of using diluted non-sulfured blackstrap molasses as a soil inoculant to help beneficial soil microbes and fungi as an immediate fuel source and to help repel insects that sting by raising the plant sugar or Brix levels, which I have never heard of, but if there is anything that can stop pepper maggot flies from stinging my peppers and tomatoes, I want to try it. Is there any benefit to molasses application and what are Brix levels? Thanks for all you do," end quote. All right, so thank you. Fun questions here. So blackstrap molasses is something that comes up from time to time, and has lots of effects attributed to it that aren't always backed up by the literature. To start, there is a difference between molasses and blackstrap molasses, though people sometimes suggest both if in unsulfured form for gardening. Molasses is what you get when reducing down, like sugarcane sap or sugar beets or sorghum or whatever. It's sweet. It's lovely in teas and in baked goods. It's delicious. Now, blackstrap is what you get when you boil it down 3 times, and it's less sweet, but much richer in flavor. It's kind of like the difference between a stock and a sauce, for instance. A stock is kind of thin, but it's tasty. Like you see, you get the idea. But a sauce is thicker. It's more flavorful, more concentrated. In this case, blackstrap is a concentrated molasses, and it's fairly well known and well studied as a biostimulant, meaning if diluted and poured into the soil, it will stimulate the biology temporarily, but won't necessarily add a ton in terms of like nutrients or, for plants to access or that sort of thing. Blackstrap is often used in compost teas for this reason and can, at least with the tea itself, boost microbial populations for a short time. Then, once the fresh carbohydrates are consumed, the microbial populations will go back down to what they were before. Maybe there are some freed up nutrients from all the now dead microbes and a little leftover calcium or something from the molasses, but that's about all that really happens is a big boom and then a big die-off. Now, the Brix thing is not something I see supported. Brix are the measure of sugars in a plant or in its fruit. Like the microbial boom then bust may lead plants to have better access to the nutrients they need, which could increase the plant's health and thus their Brix levels, but the molasses itself is not likely to increase directly the Brix level of a plant. This probably goes without saying that sugars in one form don't just like readily become sugars in another. One decent randomized study on blackstrap applications noted that blackstrap, quote, increased soil microbial activity, but not plant nutrition, end quote. So it may help the microbes, but not necessarily the plants, though happy microbes usually does lead to happier plants, but it's not a given. More often than not, pests, diseases, and low productivity are products of these few things. 1, compacted soils that make it difficult for roots to penetrate and microbes to live. 2, not enough or too much moisture. 3, not enough fertility, in particular, not enough available nitrogen, but it could also be phosphorus, potassium, calcium, sulfur, boron, or many other nutrients as determined by a soil test. 4, the wrong variety of plant at the wrong time of year or in the wrong climate. You could throw a few others in there like soil temperatures, sunlight and time of year, a lack of acclimation, or even just exclusion netting while the plant is establishing. But most of the time, the problems that growers have, like what is causing the issue, is usually incredibly simple. Maybe some good biostimulants will help, sure. I like to add a good biostimulant myself, but definitely make sure all of those other issues are addressed first, and then look into the potential for biostimulants. And to be sure, tomato growing in the tropics is notoriously difficult. Fruit flies are one that come up a lot too, and root knot nematodes, that sort of stuff. So it won't necessarily help to utilize a little blackstrap, diluted and applied carefully, but also make sure to focus on water delivery, compaction, sunlight, variety, and airflow first. Also run it as a small trial. If you see some benefits there and no benefits in the other areas, then by all means, expand that trial. I know people have strong opinions about molasses and blackstrap, so I will leave that to the comments section to add on. My preference in terms of both a biostimulant and plant food is fish hydrolysate, often made with molasses, in fact. That literature suggests will increase a plant's resistance to pests, and I, at least anecdotally, tend to see a good crop response when I apply it. Quoting one overview of the literature on the subject, quote, fish hydrolysates are proven to improve the utilization of nutrients by the plants and induce morphological changes in root architecture. They may have an anti-drought effect and may stimulate the growth and activity of beneficial microbes and improve antioxidant activity. The biological effects of these mechanisms of action are better root growth and development, increased root and leaf growth, induction of flowering, and improved fruit setting, and reduced fruit drop, end quote. Maybe if you are looking for some sort of quick fix, fish hydrolysate or some sort of hydrolyzed protein might be more effective. Anyway, great question, and let us know your all's thoughts and experiences. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will go into the wild to find the next Patreon question clue to our mystery. Isn't that what we're doing here? Mysteries? Should be. All right, be right back.
Farmer Claire Coleman here from the Winter Growers Podcast. Did you know that I also founded Real Farmer Care, a nonprofit that supports farmer well-being? From my own experiences farming, I knew firsthand that this type of support was missing from ag, so I decided to do something about it. As of today, there are over 500 farmer recipients of a $100 self-care award, with more applying daily. If you'd like to help, each $100 donated supports one new farmer. Visit realfarmercare.com to donate and learn more. Again, that's realfarmercare.com.
All right, our third and final Patreon question is going to come to us from the field. This is actually a recent one, but I figured it was timely, so I'd jump on it. So let's just go out to the field and take this one on tomato trellising. Enjoy.
Okay, so we got a request from Patreon member Lee Kossib, who asked, "Hi Jesse, can you tell me about the twine through some sort of tube thingy you were using in the clip you used to show the Florida weaving? A demo or explanation of how to use it would be awesome. Our current system requires 2 people and is very slow. Thanks for being awesome." All right, okay, so yes, I can. Hold on, I need to get a knife. There we go. All right, so yeah, I'll show you everything, how we do our Florida weave, and I'll start with the twine. You have to look for sisal twine that's untreated and biodegradable. It can be sometimes hard to distinguish whether or not it's treated or not treated or biodegradable or whatever, but just be vigilant. That's the one that we use. You definitely do not want to use any sort of plastic twine because it's just a pain to end up at the end of the season. With this, what we can do is we'll just cut it and then roll it up, and we can even throw it in the compost pile. Oh, I see some goldfinches. That's fun. But with the sisal twine, what we can do, it's biodegradable, so we can even throw this in the compost pile if we want. And as it goes around the tomatoes, it'll hold up through the season, but it wouldn't hold up through like 2 seasons or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna show you how I do this. And I know this isn't gonna be as fun for those of you listening in podcast form, but if you wanna come see this, or Michael put this on Instagram or on YouTube Shorts or whatever, and you can also come and watch the whole video over at YouTube. So anyway, what we do is pretty simple. We need the twine, right? And then you need some sort of pipe. This is about 3 feet long. You have your twine in here. You just fish it through. I usually tie a stick to the bottom and then just drop it through. You could also tie like a small rock. It doesn't matter how wide this is or whatever, but you basically fish your line through a 3-foot tube, and that's just so you're not bending over. Because what could happen is you're trying to, you tie it on the end here and tie it about, 4 to 6 inches up, depending on how tall your tomatoes are. But if you're not doing this with the pipe, then what you're trying to do is do this by hand, and how much I'm bending over right now is insane. So instead, the easiest thing to do, like you can kind of see me doing here, and sometimes it gets tied in a knot, I just leave it, is to, use this pipe so that you can stand up straight and go around what distinguishes it as the Florida weave is that you're weaving in and out of the plants. So let's say I went all the way to the end of the row. So let's just do this. Let's just keep going. I'll go around it twice. All right, so I would go all the way to the end. I'm leaving the twine down there, so it's fishing this big line here and this one here, right? And I'm going around one way, and then I get to a post. I go around. This is hard to do with the camera in my hand, but I try and make that pretty tight. So I don't know how to show you this. I'm pulling on this twine here. I'm pulling with my hand and trying to get that as tight as I can. And then sometimes, if you go around a second time, it sort of locks it in place. So you can do that, and then you just keep going. Try and get it tight, pull it. This is really complicated for the camera. Then you keep going, and all the way down. So I get to the end, and then I come back the other way. This one isn't a very good example because that one's short, but then I'm trying to go on the side that I didn't go before. So in this case, you can see where that line is there, right here. I'm gonna go on that side to lock it in place. All right, now one thing I will say is, like, that's the Florida weave, right? It's going weaving in and out all the way down the line. The other thing you can do is you can do the Florida weave like every other. So you could start with just going one side all the way down and then the other side all the way back. Or you can go Florida weave all the way down, and then the next time you do it, do one line just to kind of support it. And then you do the Florida weave the next time. And the only reason that you would do that is it's just like faster, right? To just do that single line straight than it is to go back and forth. But that will also kind of keep it compact. And the other thing I'll say is when you're doing this Florida weave, especially when the plants are tall like this, go really low, right? And pin it. And then that way you're getting all those branches. And that may mean that you still need to do another line, but it will keep it more compact a little bit. And obviously that's a lot of line, and but it can be pretty quick. Like if you watch me do a video, like maybe Michael put in some B-roll of me doing this, you know, in general, but it goes pretty fast. Yeah, super simple system. I put one post about every 3 plants. You could do 4 if your plants are closer to one another. I do about 3 foot spacing in the field just for airflow. But yeah, that's the gist. All right, so last thing I want to add is when I'm tying it off, I try and get it as tight as I can, but I also take it around this, right? Like I'm trying to pull that even tighter. I don't really want these plants super compact. I'm just trying to support them. So what I don't want is to go every few inches and just keep the plant like this, because then the tomatoes are going to form right behind the lines. Really, when I say you kind of go low and pull it up, you're just trying to add that structure. Like you're just trying to suspend it. If you go too tight, it's just hard to get the tomatoes out of there. So anyway, hope that was helpful.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that little field session. Again, let me know what questions you all have about that or anything else via patreon.com/no-till-growers. Otherwise, I think that's it for this Thursday. Don't forget, No-Till Growers is a nonprofit 501c3, so donations are tax deductible and they make the world go round, or at least our world. And they're greatly appreciated. We say thank you. Please make sure to like and subscribe and or follow wherever you're getting this podcast. That is an easy way to help us out as well. Enormous thank you to all of our show sponsors. And if you'd ever like to sponsor the show, you can reach out to Farmer Michelle at no-tillgrowers.com. Big thank you to Michelle. Big thank you to the No-Till Growers Board of Directors. Huge shouts to Willie Breeding for the theme music, Mike Hilbert for the production, help and editing, and my wife Hannah for absolutely everything in the world. Also, shouts to Epidemic Sound for the background music that you can jam to. Pick up a hat or a copy of my book, The Living Soil Handbook, at no-tillgrowers.com to support this work. Big thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/no-tillgrowers, where at a certain level, or if you just bump up from one level to another, or you sign up in the month of July, you get a shout on the show. So big shout outs today to Matthew Wallace and Caitlin Neptune. Ooh, Caitlin Neptune, that's very novelistic. Good stuff, Caitlin. And you too, Matthew. Sorry, I'm not taking anything away from Matthew Wallace. As you will remember, our story this week is about a grape tomato breeder named Eliza who accidentally spills some natural wine, probably something from Beaujolais, but I don't really know. And anyway, she gets up the next morning early before dawn and she sees the field is glowing. Excited, curious and confused, she heads out to see what's up. Well, it's not the plant growing, and it's not the fruit growing. It's a small group of about 5 people standing around the plant, holding flashlights, but also meditating? Sort of. It's not entirely clear. But that is for tomorrow on Grape Balls of Fire. Grape Balls of Fire? See what I did there? See the puns? They sort of write themselves, even if they don't make a lick of sense to the story. All right. Thanks for watching and or listening. We'll see you then. Bye.